sta solo Tevez al limite dell'area, fa fuori tutti Tevez, si apre la porta Tevez, gol, da dietro, Pirlo dentro,
Ciao Juventini, it's game day, everybody. Let's go. First match day of the season, Juventus versus Sassuolo. It's myself and Omer today. Omer, how are you doing, my man? Your microphone is on mute. Let's go.
I'm great. I love the new season. I love every season that starts. And just for today, I'm going to change something up a bit. So hold on. Usually I drink coffee during every podcast, but since it's a celebratory day, I have something else.
There we go.
Yeah.
Look at everybody here right out of the gate, pumped for Juve Day. Let's go.
So I'm going to be rocking a Hobgoblin, the King Goblin edition. Little beer, little cheers. And I know it's a bit early for you, but not for me.
5:30 a.m. is a little early for me. Get on that, but well done, my friend. Well done.
Tastes the same on every hour of the day.
We got a new season. Okay, we've got some Juventini. Everybody's pumped, amped up for this one. Okay, I'm amped up, and we are going to be getting into this. Okay, we've got a little bit of a new format. We're obviously going to tackle the news first. Okay, just get some news tidbits out of the way. Get Omer's thoughts. Get everyone that's on the live's thoughts on certain news reports and whatnot. Then we're going to get into previewing the match between Juventus and Sassuolo. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk about the previous encounters. We'll go back to last season. We're going to have a little bit of trivia. Okay, we're going to shorten up things on the trivia. Then we're going to get to predictions, and we've changed the prediction challenge as well. Okay, so we're going to hope, just because we always have these things and they're so action-packed, and we want to get a little bit more of Storm the Barn in on the match day lives too. So we're going to try and keep this as free-flowing as possible. But let's look at everybody in the live already amped up. We've got a score line already. Wow, we haven't even got to the prediction time. And Big Bobby throwing out the deuce. Nil. Look at that. 2-0 from Bobby right out of the gate. Let's hold on. Unpopular opinion. It might be popular, Mohammed, but says Berto should be our next left back. I'm a midfielder, my friend. We're a little packed in midfield right now. But hey, I'd give left back a shot. If not for anything but my own personal agenda with Alexandro, I would give it a shot for all of you, okay? But Omar, let's get into some thoughts on the news, okay? And we were talking about this before we came on. We haven't seen Omar for a little bit, but now we're going to get into it. And I'm excited to hear your thoughts on certain news and everything. So left back situation has been a hot topic surrounding Juventini. Obviously, we even got Mohammed asking for me, for God's sakes. So Pellegrini ends up going on loan to Frankfurt, where Kostic came in from. And, trying to make sense of it all, you would think that Kostic was kind of that left side specialist, and maybe all these rumors on a 3-5-2 would be how we were going to go moving forward and whatnot. But obviously Allegri's interviews, I tell you, right out of the gate, first one of the season, I swear he loves messing with everybody and throwing you for loops and everything. Because when asked about the 3-5-2, well, we haven't even trained. When's the last time my team played a 3-5-2, he said. And then he mentioned Barzagli, and he said, Barzagli told me he had to retire because he was tired of playing right back. And that was actually funny. And it was good stuff from Max and whatnot. But a lot of Juventini fired up about us not bringing a left back. But the Mercato is not done. And Nicola Schira throwing out a little tidbit saying that Cherubini is actively looking for options there. So I want to get your thoughts on the whole loaning out Pellegrini, and what if nobody comes in, and what your thoughts are and everything on that situation, Omer.
Okay, so my initial thought was that you were going to either sell or loan Pellegrini out, keep Sandro, wait until his contract is up next summer, then buy someone and by the time that happens, Cambiaso will be back, and then we have two new left backs. I actually didn't think Pellegrini would go out on loan. I thought he would be sold. But so far, no names have been mentioned. Just that Juve are out looking for a left back. So I have no like frame of reference of what type of player they're aiming for. A defensive one, a bit more attacking one. Allegri did mention that both Danilo and De Sciglio can play left back. I'm hoping that's not the case because that will make Alexandro the first choice. I do think we'll see Kostic more often than not occupying that role, and kind of like what Pirlo used to do, with Sandro staying back a bit and either Danilo or Quadrado pushing up more. Then maybe it'll happen just in the opposite direction. Danilo will be the one who stays back, and Kostic will be more of a left wing back more than a left back. That's what I think we'll see, unless we start seeing some names pop up, and then we'll get a clearer picture of what you were aiming for. But so far, besides Nicolas Kira, we haven't heard anything about a new left back. But the guy is reliable, so there's a point to his words.
Yeah, that's just it. He's been absolutely on fire this Mercado, so it's going to be interesting to see what ends up playing out there. The other thing that was interesting about Allegri's presser leading up to this one, in terms of news and whatnot, is the latest we heard on Arthur moving was basically the words of Gattuso saying that, hey, Valencia likes the player. They want to add him. They just can't because of that salary. But yet yesterday, despite having ankle issues, Allegri throws out there that the transfer status is also what's keeping him unavailable as well. And that was kind of interesting too. Do you think we see Arthur leave before Mercado ends, Omer?
Yeah, once again, I'll go with Nicolas Kira here. He said yesterday that his future is away from Turin, so I believe you will find some sort of a solution. If they found one for Ramsey, I believe they will find one for Arthur. I don't think he'll be here for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm
Plus,
going to
he's
have to say
overweight.
that one was a bit of an eye opener after we thought, like we haven't heard anything from Arsenal's interest for quite some time in terms of Arthur. All of a sudden, Valencia came in hot. They just couldn't see that thing over the deal. But there's no doubt about it. Juve and Arthur want the break. So I think it's going to happen. It's going to be a tough one. And it is going to probably just be loan. Just because of the numbers that Arthur stands us and whatnot. And I said this well into last year, I think halfway when everybody wanted Arthur out. I said it's going to be a tough sell. But hearing Max speak about it like that was a little bit of an interesting one. Now, the formation, we talked about that, and Max throwing his little tidbit there on the 3-5-2. It appears from everything we're seeing now, we might see that 4-4-2 hybrid. We'll get more into the players and the personnel that's being used and whatnot a little bit later. But 3-5-2, we were talking on the last live between Anthony, myself, and Lou, saying that right now, until certain players come back into the fold, it probably makes the most sense to be in that shape. What do you think? Do you think the 3-5-2 makes sense right now for the personnel we have until some of this long injury list come back?
Absolutely. I just saw the players who were called up for today's match, and besides Vlahovic and Di Maria, the rest are De Graca and some other guy I haven't even heard of. So we basically have two natural attackers in the roster. So 3-5-2, they said Kostic wouldn't play from the start, so we probably won't see a 4-3-3. Rabiot is out, Keane is out, not even mentioning Chiesa. We have two attackers available that are of the top caliber. The rest are just U23 products. Sule, maybe we'll see a rare start from Sule in the first game. But I think the 3-5-2 at the moment, with the amount of center backs we have and amount of midfielders and attackers, is the most logical choice for today.
Yeah.
But if they haven't worked on that, then that's a hard no. I wouldn't want to try anything new that they haven't, trained on in practice.
Yeah. And I'm for that 3-5-2 right now based on the players we have. I think it makes the most sense. I've also stressed how much I dislike the 4-4-2, that 4-4-2 hybrid when we're putting a central midfielder out as an outside player. Now, we'll get more into that as we get further on. Rovella is likely to go out. So he's included in the squad today. Most likely things are going to get wrapped up within a couple days here for his move to Monza. It will be a loan from what it appears and whatnot. Fagioli and Miretti will be decided apparently based on any other incomings before the Mercato ends. So I want to get your thoughts on Rovella being loaned out. I still get a lot of comments on the YouTube daily videos about Rovella and keeping him around and him staying here and whatnot. So I want to get your thoughts, Omer, on this loan move and whatnot.
Yeah, so it had to be Rovella. Like that's what was everyone's bet. One of the three to leave, maybe Miretti on loan, but we knew it was going to be Rovella. That's what the rumors were all about. Apparently, he's not a CTP, what you call a club trained player, which these types of players don't take up space in the roster. And Miretti and Fagioli are club trained players. Rovella is not. So by selling Rovella, you free up space in the roster for someone else. That's sort of the reason why he's the one to go. And I actually don't see any other good reason for it. Like he was solid, in my opinion, in preseason, especially covering for Lucatelli. So I would have liked him to stay, but I get the reasoning why he's the one who has to leave. And apparently, Miretti, I don't know, the number 20 is, I've said it not long ago, that this is a first team player, first team number. It's not just someone who is going to go out on loan. He knows he's going to stay. I don't think we'll see either Fagioli or Miretti leave. Rovella is out, and that's it.
It's interesting. It's very, very interesting to me. I think when you look at all the guys and whatnot, and Rovella still being a young player, but having that experience much more than the other two in Serie A, and the fact of how strong he was covering for Locatelli, I didn't see that one coming. To me, if you were going to cut the first one out of those three, it was going to be Miretti to get him someplace where he's going to get enough minutes to hopefully make that jump. Fagioli, we know that he was looking for some promises from Juventus in order to extend that contract, which apparently is done. Again, it is what it is at the end of the day. There still could be one of those guys move between Fagioli and Miretti. So it's going to be interesting to see, because if all of a sudden Paredes' deal does come through, that's again less minutes. And then it becomes more a positional issue, not just the midfield overall. But Fagioli is very much going to be one of those Mezzala roles, okay, where he can get advanced, help the offense. That leaves Miretti. If Paredes and Locatelli are going to be the 1-2, it kind of cuts down on Miretti's minutes big time. And again, Miretti can also play anywhere in that midfield. But again, for seeing such a small sample size in Serie A last season, and for me, it was, pros and cons. There's pros and cons to everything. I think I would have probably kept Rovella so far, at least past the first cut. And then when Paredes comes in, I mean, you can make that decision, but it's gonna be an interesting one for sure. It's not the be all end all by any means, not for me.
No.
Anyways, but
I think if there's anything I learned from this summer mercato is that they are planning ahead. They're not just making it up as they go along. If they need that extra spot in the roster, it has a reason. Maybe they can't sign Paredes without it, and maybe they just need to free up space in order for someone else to come in. That's the way I say. I don't think they're just doing it because he's not going to get any playing time anyway. Yeah. I think Cherubini and Ravenna are much more calculated than that.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I mean, Jeremiah, we just had his comment on there. He would rather have Rovella in the team than Miretti. BAT9 said Moretti is by far the one with the highest potential. He says you can see that by the way he touches the ball, but he would like some playing minutes this season. And that's really what it comes down to for me is it's not really a question of the ability or the talent or the potential, whatnot. It's just, is he going to get enough for that stage of his career that would be beneficial? So, and that's just up to everyone's opinion. Real quick, everybody, like the video, okay, while you're here. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. It's all UA all the time. We're going to continue with one more piece on the news. So in the daily updates video, I was talking about the strength of this team, the Mercado and whatnot. Tutto Sport had a report yesterday trying to see if I can track things down on these numbers. So they basically said in terms of purchases, Juventus has spent $63.5 million. In terms of new salaries, they're at $39.7 million. Sales, $90 million in sales, $63.9 million freed up in salary. The only thing is that report did not factor in Chiesa's purchase or Vlahovic's purchase. However, it's still a strong indication of the work Cherubini and Arrivabene have done. Not only that, okay, but would you say, and this was a question I put out to everybody on the daily updates video from yesterday, would you say on paper this team is much stronger than the last, Omer? So has this management been able to bring down salary and strengthen the squad?
Absolutely. I said it not long ago. I got some flack for it, but they have done what they have accomplished in 1 year. It's been roughly 1 year since they were appointed, maybe a bit more, is nothing short of incredible. This much cleanup and recruitment is like of the highest level. Like when I look at the roster we have today, I couldn't have imagined this would be our roster when this season starts. I thought we still had Bernardeschi and some of the guys we like, but they just went clean swipe, knocked out everyone who wasn't up to the standards that they set with everything Arrivabene said. And I think that's important. I think that what was needed to happen. I think Arrivabene came into the club and saw that the transfer market and a lot of clubs are basically ran by agents and not the club themselves. Like you have clubs that are solely based on one agent, like Wolves in the Premier League. Half of them are Jorge Mendes agents, and he uses this club to elevate their career and move them on for more money. So agents rule the Mercado. I don't even need to expand about Briola. And I think Arrivabene came in and said, well, none of that. I don't like that. Anyone who wants to be here is someone who wants Juve and doesn't count his agent above the club. Yeah. And that's what he basically did. Just told everyone who wanted more money, wanted to be here only for the money, bye-bye. We'll get someone else who wants to be here. We'll appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. We've got some comments coming in here. B18, I said, add Paredes and Depay to this roster, and that's probably the strongest squad in the league. Omer, do you agree that if we make those two additions, we've got the strongest squad in Serie A?
No, because of certain positions. Like if we add a new left back, I can see that. I can agree with that. But at the moment, I think Inter have the best roster, the most versatile and players that are adequate to their positions. But we're not far from it. And Milan didn't have the best roster last season, but they still won the Scudetto. So you don't need the best to win.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. And then Del Juve Piero, I put this one up before, put it up again there because he says it's not much stronger in his opinion than last season, but the composition of the team is much better and more suitable to a 4-3-3, assuming, of course, Depay and Paredes sign, which is looking very, very good, according to, the big guns, one of them being Nicola Schira, the other being Mirko Di Natale. So it's going to be very, very good. Anish came up with a great suggestion last live, and there will be a Discord. Okay, there will be a Discord set up. We're finalizing everything, and then it's going to be set up. We will post that. It might even be ready as early as tomorrow on the post-match podcast. Okay, so stay tuned. we are getting a Discord set up so that all of us can continue discussions off streams. Okay, now kind of tackled the news here. Let's get into a little bit of the lineups and whatnot, and just a little bit of the Sassuolo Juventus opener here. Injuries. So let's start off with Sassuolo, since there is a small amount in comparison. Okay, so Sassuolo is basically looking at Toljan is actually a game time decision, so they just wait on that one. It's very, very minor. Filippo Romagna is basically an undisclosed injury. Maxime Lopez suspended. And then Traore's out till sometime in September. That's really it, basically, for Sassuolo. They have a little bit of uncertainty based on Raspadori that, is a little uncertain yet on his status based, and that would be transfer based, not injury based or whatnot. So we have to wait on that one.
Not to mention they lost Kamaka and they lost
Kamaka
Marlon. They lost Kirikesh.
Yes.
And Marlon and Kirikesh, which were both their CBs last season. So it's a big question mark for them too.
And then the one that came out today, apparently, is that Berardi will not be in the lineup.
No. That was a burner account. It wasn't a real report.
There we go. Okay, good. So I didn't get enough time to see the details. I saw it went up and then was quickly removed, and I want to figure out why. So burner account, Berardi will be in the lineup. He should be in the lineup. Okay. So there you have it on that. Omer, we got to give a lot of props to Omer. We gave props to Lou on the last one. These guys cover the news and do a fantastic job on our Twitter account. So massive, massive thank you to Omer and Lou for taking the brunt of that. And then, of course, the other guys involved like Luca, Lucci and whatnot, and even Raph. So there you have it on that. Now let's get to Juve's list. So Perrin's going to get the start. Obviously, Szczesny's out. So Szczesny still got about a little over a week, apparently, until he will be good and back in the mix. You've got Pogba. We know about Pogba. He's in rehab now for that knee. We've got Rabiot that's suspended. Okay, we also know that Rabiot's got that transfer status looming over his head. And apparently, again, another round of positive discussions with Manchester United. Keane is also suspended for this one. So he's in that category with Rabiot. Chiesa, we know about Chiesa. We're looking to have him back probably end of September, early October, just to finally start getting some game minutes again. Then you have McKennie that has been cleared. McKennie has made it in and has been cleared, so he'll be a part of the squad. Even have him on starting projections out there. So McKennie could be getting the start there. Artur, the transfer status and the ankle, and apparently overweight. So throw that all into the mix on Artur. Yeah, lovely. Ake's out, lower leg injury. And then, of course, we have Caio Jorge, who is healing up from his scary patella injury last season. So there you have it. Man, we almost need a whole separate show, Omer, just for our injury status reports and whatnot. But there you have it. Last 5 games between these two teams have been extremely tight, okay? And each of them, you could argue, could have gone either way. You got some 2-1 score lines in there. I think you have a couple 3-1s and whatnot, but it's going to be a tight one. This one this morning, we'll wait a bit and we'll get into our actual feelings, how we think it's going to go and whatnot. Let's get some betting odds for those of you that are interested in betting and whatnot. Juventus favorites, and it'll pay 1.5. Okay. A draw pays 4.5. You choose Sassuolo to win, 5.5. Okay. So paying 5.5 to 1. If you're looking at Sassuolo to win, I am not, and I expect a Juventus victory, but we'll get more on that. Let's have a little fun with a little trivia break and get everybody going. Omer, it's fitting that you're here. Okay. Omer was trivia king last season. Okay. But I think I did have one where I actually took it when Anthony ran it. I think I had one. I'll probably retire at that, knowing that I had one victory in trivia.
I just want to say I was on Bepe's trivia on Juve's official channel, and I came up second, which was pretty I was bummed out because I knew the final answer that would have gotten me the win, but the stress got to me, and I answered quickly without thinking about it, and that's how I lost. But once again, I'm here. I hope I remember. It's been a long time since I've watched actual football, so I'm kind of rusty, but let's see where I stand.
Yeah, there you go, McKenny. Huge boost for us coming in from Swarid. Actually, has to be said, when I was in Los Angeles and we watched the team train, and we actually met McKenny in the hotel they were staying at, I was shocked at how much he is leaned out and trimmed up physically. Yeah, it was actually wild to see, and you could see it. You could see him looking a little bit different, just slightly a little more active and agile out there on the pitch with some sharper cuts and whatnot. Yeah, it was very, very interesting. We actually asked him about it in person, and he was actually talking about his diet and the diet change and whatnot and what led to it. But yeah, it is promising to have him back in there. Be big for us. Now, let's get to the trivia. We're going to 3 questions this year. Okay, this season we're going to have 3 trivia questions, and that's it. And we're going to see what can happen here. So let's go like this. Who are the 5 leading goal scorers in this fixture? Juventus versus Sassuolo. Give me the 5 names.
Wow, 5. Since Sassuolo is a young team, then there's no ADP in it or anything, so it's mainly new guys. It has to be Dybala.
Dybala's one.
I'll throw in Tevez.
Tevez is another.
Pogba.
No.
No Pogba. Higuain. Higuain might be first even.
Yeah, he is. You've got 2 more.
2 more. Pjanic?
No.
No. Cristiano?
Down to the last one.
One more. Can you give me a hint? Like, does he still play for Juve?
Doesn't still play.
Okay.
He was wanted out in unceremonious fashion.
Oh. Wait.
And I haven't seen it come up in the live either. I'm looking in the live chat. Nobody's got that 5th name.
Okay. Can it be? Where already said who did we have? Pogba, Dybala.
No, you've got Higuain.
No, but Higuain, Dybala, Cristiano.
Higuain, Dybala, Ronaldo, Tevez. Oh, and the live's got it.
I'm not looking at the comments. God damn it.
Live's got it.
Who could it be? I'm having a blackout.
Played for the German national side.
For the German national side? Wow. What German did we have? Benedict Höwedes.
Midfielder.
No,
was always good for about 7 or 8 goals.
Khedira, okay.
There you go.
Oh, really? How much does he have against Sassuolo? I can't remember one. No, I can remember one goal.
Who scored our winner in the last match against Sassuolo that we played last season that finished 2-1?
Last season, the 2-1.
Our very last meeting with them.
Some of the games from last season, I don't even remember. I was asked some of the questions and I completely forgot some of the games. Last year, it wasn't the Coppa Italia game. Like, you're not referring to the Coppa Italia game. Okay.
No.
Vlahovic. Morata? I'll go with Morata.
No. Live's got it. We got 3 in the live that nailed it.
Quadrado? No, I want.
But he does like to dance.
Oh, McKenny.
No.
Moise Kean.
Moise Kean.
Yeah, that one's go to the line.
Name the last 3 players to transfer between these teams.
Mary Demiral.
Yeah.
The last 3 or just
The last three players.
Mary Demiral, Simone Zaza.
No.
Does drawer account because we bought him and then immediately sold him
No.
to Sassuolo?
We've got one more recent than Demiral, and then you have one on the backside of Demiral.
Locatelli
and Demiral, there you go. And there's one on the other side of Demiral that nobody really knew what to expect, and nothing has really come.
Nobody knew what to expect.
Starts with an R.
Oh. Wait, don't tell me. I'm thinking. Don't tell me. Don't give me any more hints. Is he still at Juve?
No.
He's not at Juve.
It's going to be a tough pull, man. It's going to be a tough pull.
Wait. No, I can get it.
I know it's not Ronaldinho.
Wait, I can get it.
Oh, the lives got it. Ryan S. Nice pull.
The live got it. No, I'm out.
We're going to go on the countdown.
Yeah, go on the countdown.
Rogerio.
I can't even remember this guy.
Exactly. He was a fullback. Young fullback. So there you go.
But,
that's
but
trivia.
Don't we count? No, maybe Traore was later.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's first one of the season. We got to get in the rhythm again. Got to get those
Come on, I had to,
back into the trivia mode.
I had to
name
name drop.
Still did strong.
I had to name drop 8 players. I got in total what? 6 out of 8. That's not bad. I'm against. I don't know how many people are in the live.
Not bad. Okay, let's get into the lineups. Let's get into the game, how we think it's going to go and everything. So this is going to be an interesting one. So for Sassuolo, one of the projections I've seen that's been duplicated by a couple, because we try and give other options, whatnot, but Consigli in goal, Mulder, Marchesa, Ferrari, Kriakopoulos, Obiang, Fratesi, Thorsvet, Berardi, Raspadori, and Sere. So that's what, most projections seem to look like for Sassuolo. For Juve. So we continue to see changes between 3-5-2 and 4-4-2 hybrid. It appears it's going to be a 4-4-2 hybrid. It appears De Sciglio would be the one starting on left side. McKennie ahead of him. Locatelli, Zaccaria on there. McKennie obviously on the left side. Quadrado on that right side. Danilo, Bonucci, Bremer. I said De Sciglio will be in there. We know Pedin's in goal because Szczesny's out. Di Maria and Vlahovic up top. So let's get into our thoughts on this game. Opening match of the season. A lot of changes for Juventus and whatnot. 4-4-2 hybrid and whatnot. We know how Sassuolo plays. We obviously know they lost Scamacca. In their reports today, it appears that Raspadori is going to take up leading that front line and playing that way. He might play it as a false 9 and whatnot, but it's still very much going to be a front 3. And we know how they like to play. It's very, very quick. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Omer, your thoughts on our projected lineup and what you really expect out of this one?
I don't like McKennie starting out on the left, if it will be the case. Not because I don't like McKennie, but because he just hasn't played in a long while. And then came back from injury, got injured again in his shoulder. And throwing in a player that hasn't played regular match since basically, what was it, April last season, and out of position is just a super weird decision. I actually don't believe that he'll start anyway, let alone on the left. But if that's the case, then it's a weird decision that I don't like. I would rather Kostic. Maybe he's new, but at least he has some game time in him. Already played in the Bundesliga one game and had a great preseason. The rest is kind of, I don't know. They're the options you have. Like the rest are the best players you have available.
Yeah.
Lucci is not going to get benched. Bremer super hyped for him coming to Juve and want to see him play. And DeCilio, I've recently said that DeCilio might be our best fullback, which kind of,
Is terrifying.
yeah, it's super terrifying, but I'm not sure how wrong it is. Like Danilo on his day could be better, but he's much better defensively. Quadrado is much better offensively.
Yeah.
But as a balanced fullback, I think the Schiller is the one who covers the most, which is, like you said, terrifying. The rest is just what we have available.
Yeah, to Swarit's point here. So he says it should be a 4-3-3 with Dusan, Di Maria, and Quadrado up front. Why overcomplicate? So to try and make sense of what's going on, like just to try and figure this out, but this 4-4-2 hybrid, the part I don't like is that your standard three midfielders, okay, while they're working in that base in the middle of the park, your fullbacks essentially are supposed to be the ones that close out the outsides, that support those guys on the outside and kind of put everything together. We play in a much, much different fashion. When you play a 4-4-2 hybrid, you're essentially holding that one on the left side. Since we're putting a central midfielder on the outside left, you're rendering that left fullback to simply stay back at all times. The problem with us is that our right side neither pushes forward and supports attack. And at least you could make sense of it if you had a bombing fullback and you wanted to play in that route from the other side. However, still in doing so, you make things very, very difficult on the left side of the pitch by doing that. You need to simplify things. The fullback role, you need to risk a little bit more, and you need to play in a more of an attack fashion. The thing that would make more sense to me is, rather than ultimately decide that right out of the outset that this is how that side is essentially going to look, switch them to the three midfielders, play your three. If one of them attempts to go forward, you usually slot out the back line and just kind of extend. So if one's pushing from one side, obviously your opposite fullback won't go all the way to back post or top of the area even, but hang back so that you still create that three at the back base for your defensive line, which is fine. And then vice versa. When the ball switches around, comes out to the other side, that other fullback should slot in and offer some protected. Not only that, if you're playing with the regista, typically it is a role that stays back to offer the assistance in that as well. That's why when we get a lot of shouts for Locatelli, get up the pitch, get more involved, get higher up there. Registas, it's in that role to essentially be quarterbacking and staying back. And obviously that plays into the defensive role as well. So for me, I just don't really like the 4-4-2 hybrid because I think it's sending the wrong message out of the gate. And I think in today's game and just in general, watching us play last season, we need the support from the fullbacks. It's just we're leaving it up to the forwards and, one, sometimes two midfielders. We're just leaving it up to them. And you usually, especially in Serie A, you get to that back, there's too many guys to worry about. And without sending extra help, you can't create enough spaces to operate. And that's why it looks like our game shuts down so much. But that's just my 2 cents on it. Omer, you got anything to add, or do you disagree with me on anything I've said?
No, I basically agree. The register role part of, when they attack, it's exactly what you said. But when we defend, and that was Juve's one of Juve's weakest point last season, is that we couldn't handle any counterattacks. Counterattacks would kill us, and that's the register's first role as a defender, to cut off all the counterattacks and be an anchorman for the rest of the team. Like everyone are supposed to walk around his position. So Locatelli did it fine. I would rather we have someone who's more natural to it. The 4-4-2 requires very specific type of players, and I don't think we have them. It's very hard in today's game to dominate a game with only two midfielders against three. Most teams play with three. So I would like to see Juve try that. That's why I would lean towards the 3-5-2. And the main reason I'd go for it is because of Bonucci. I think from what I've seen in the preseason, maybe it's just preseason, just babbling about, but he looked out of shape. He looked very slow, and maybe that 3-5-2, that center role that he used to do so brilliantly, would get him back a bit to the his former play style and his former form. And that's what I'm expecting. When it comes to the attack, we only have two options. I am going to call something out here. I think Sule will start today.
You think Sule's going to get the start?
Yeah, I think so. Because of the Atletico match, I don't think Allegri just threw him in there because it was a friendly match. Usually when you get to the end of the preseason, you kind of see what the manager is trying to pull. And it wasn't a coincidence that he was there. I think he'll start there soon. I know Allegri is not the type of guy he likes the process. He likes seeing a player get some minutes here, some minutes there, and then gradually integrate him into the team until he gets his spot. But I think Sula will start today, mainly because everyone is injured, but I think Allegri likes it. That's what I got from it. That's one bet.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about the Sule start there, but
I have no insane information. It's a bet, but let's
it's a bet. There you go. Prop bets with Omer here. So let's see. Everybody, reminder, like the video. Okay, while you're here, if you're new, subscribe to the channel. Okay, but let's get likes. We got about 65 in the live here. Let's make sure we got at least that in likes. Okay, now I guess we can get very, very close. The other big wild card facing this Juve side, okay, is we are all talking about Allegri being on a short leash this season. We spoke earlier about the management, the job they've done. It's all for naught if the players themselves and the manager can't put it all together on the pitch. But at the same time, it's going to be very, very difficult. And they've got little time with this, basically facelift. Some of the names are familiar when you've got names like Fagioli and whatnot. Miretti played a little bit last season, whatnot. Rovella, but Rovella's probably going out on loan. Sule, same thing, coming from U23s. The thing is, Di Maria, Bremer added to the mix as well. You're probably going to have, most likely, fingers crossed, Depay, maybe Paredes comes in. That's a big change, even with the familiar names. And I think having some of these familiar names in and around kind of makes it easier to forget that there's going to be some growing pains and time for everybody to kind of click and that chemistry to be up. And that's kind of the wild card that faces Juve right now. So I saw in some of the comments earlier here on the live that, I'm expecting free-flowing football and, like a clean game and 2-0 comfortable victory and all this. I don't know if I fully expect that free-flowing type of game right away, regardless of guys like Di Maria being on the pitch and everything. I think it's still going to I think we're going to see some growing pains, and I think we're going to see some growing pains in this one. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near a finished product. So, Omer, your thoughts on this wild card of team chemistry and that one?
Yeah, I would even throw in Zakaria and Vlahovic, who are relatively new to Juve. They had half a season. A lot of the times it's not enough to create chemistry, especially with a lot of new players coming in. And Vlahovic had a good link with Dybala, and now Dybala's gone. He had to link up with someone new. Zakaria was injured for a long time after he signed for Juve. So throw that into the mix, and these are two starters in our game plan, apparently. So yeah, if you're expecting free-flowing football, you're going to get disappointed. Pirlo had a great first match, 3-0 against Sampdoria, and then it kind of tumbled down, and you saw it, his inexperience popping out. So we could have a great game today. We could have free flowing because Sassuolo are basically the same as us. They have a lot of new faces and a lot of good players left who were the backbone of their recent success. And so that might play in our advantage, but we're going to have growing pains whether we like it or not. We're not going to be 2010 Barcelona just dominating everyone right out of the gate. That's not happening. Expect that, lower expectations, and you might get excited. Higher expectations, and you'll get disappointed.
So I got to address this comment. Edgar has been all over our YouTube videos wanting Icardi. He says Pai is not good enough for Juve. We need Icardi. Where has Non-Molo gone? Because Non-Molo did report that there was discussions involving Icardi and Juventus. Edgar, I've never been feeling it, but I always gave you props for your consistency and fight for whatever it is that makes you want Icardi at Juventus. I will give him one thing. My man Edgar is consistent, okay? So props on the consistency at least. Dells is coming in saying, I don't expect free-flowing football because I know what Max is all about. If he wins playing ugly, I'm fine. It's when we play ugly and win nothing. So here's
Absolutely.
kind of the thing is, as far as growing pains go, free flowing football and whatnot, free flowing football is not necessarily Max's style whatsoever. We know that. It's not to say that some points we won't see free flowing football. I think we will in certain matches against certain opponents because the quality that's been boosted and the type of guys we have, especially if we add a guy like Memphis Depay. So I think we could see glimpses of it, and there might be spurts here and there of some real, nice football. But again, it's going to overall be these guys gelling together, getting the chemistry and whatnot. Max likes a very, very simple approach. It's usually very, very rigid looking because, and as we're all seeing so far this season, it's all about building out of the back and everything up until getting it to your forwards. And then from there, it is freedom. It is freedom and complete reign there. Di Maria, everyone's heard the reports. It kind of seemed obvious that we're going to be relying on him heavily. We saw that in the preseason. Di Maria was basically tasked with the creation. And, do you want to see something more team-based? Absolutely we do. And hopefully guys out of the midfield can step up and add things. There's a lot of variables through that preseason that make me not take it too far overboard. Okay.
I want
And
to ask you a
certain
question about it.
What's that, Omer?
I want to ask you a question about the preseason.
Let's go. Yeah, fire away.
I feel everybody in the chat can also say their opinions. I think it was a bad preseason, not because like the way we played, but the planning of preseasons recently in recent years has been horrible, in my opinion. Not only Juve, but all these tournaments in different continents is not a good way to prepare for the season. You have a team of relatively new players, a new system, new country, new language, and you want to. Our problem was goal scoring last season, and you want to practice attacking scenarios and stuff. You won't get that against Real Madrid and Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. And I would much rather have what Milan did, is playing against Serie D and Serie C sides, to actually work on those things, not on the training ground, but against other teams, to get the chemistry together. What do you think about it? Do you think that is the right way to do a preseason, or would you rather see something else?
I think it's hard to deny that playing those established sides makes it much, much more challenging to try and figure out your game plan and how you want to approach matches and whatnot. The other thing that's difficult is the fact that, you suffer losing Pogba, who's supposed to be a key part of what you're trying to develop and what you're trying to move forward with. So there's a lot of challenges there. I would personally, for this team, the amount of changes we had and everything, yeah, that marketing thing, it's all great. I had a blast. I loved heading down there to LA and seeing them and everything.
And I absolutely get that, the
But
money
it
aspect of
makes
these
more
tours.
sense for a team with this much of a facelift to play the lower sides that you can actually, as far as challenge wise, it's not preseason, not really a much about the competition and the challenge and whatnot. I mean, that measuring stick against Real for 60 minutes against their starters, that's a measuring stick we can all kind of expect, to be honest, for a team that's got guys that have won like how many Champions Leagues together. Let's be serious here. We don't need that measuring stick. So a different route would have made more sense for a team that's going over such a major transition and overhaul.
Yeah.
So
And I want to say to everyone, I get the financial aspect. I get why it's important.
Yeah.
I know all this Milan can pay their players and stuff. Milan won the Scudetto. Milan looked great in preseason and in their first match, despite all their absences. There's a reason for it. They don't have the old, world-class names in the roster, but they do look good on the pitch. And making money is one thing, but money doesn't win titles for Juve anymore. It might for Paris Saint-Germain and Man City, but that's not the case in Italy. And most of you weren't complaining about how much money Juve makes. You were complaining about how Juve plays. And so that's where the case comes from. Milan sold 40,000 seasonal tickets. That's mad. You know where we are? In seventh place. Fiorentina is above us. Roma is above us. A lot of teams sold more than us, and there's a reason for it. Their fans are excited. Our fans, much less so. And getting the team to play a good type of football, in my opinion, is just having a solid preseason, staying in Italy, not traveling, not making all those visits to this factory and that organization, blah, blah. I think it would have been more productive. But again, what do I know? I'm sitting here just talking, spitting my opinions. I'm not managing a football team.
Interesting you bring up the season ticket list and whatnot, because I did ask Maurizio from around Turin, like, kind of what's going on that it's significantly lower, like 20,000. They sold 20,000 essentially. They're sixth place on that list, just below Fiorentina. And he just said it's a long, long list. It starts with the ultras, how they've been treated by management. It carries on with lack of atmosphere. Lack of joy in watching Allegri's football does play part of it. Okay. He's got that in there as well. High prices. Okay. No chance to stand in the curva. So they're actually separating people. So sometimes you can't be able to sit close to friends and whatnot. And basically they got rid of like wherever your ticket's stamped, you can't just move over to the curva to be with the curva. You have to sit in your dedicated seat now and whatnot. So the atmosphere, there's a long list of why that's kind of happened. So, there you have it. There's the list. So it's interesting. Omer brings it up, but there's a lot going on there that Juve's got to tackle at home. And I've been saying this for a bit. They have to lock things up at home, domestically, the stadium, all that, before we look to branch out, as far as the marketing thing goes and everything. Obviously, we understand PR, marketing, and making money and whatnot, but how much better would that marketing be if everything at home was dialed in? Because for me, growing up and whatnot, like, man, it was amazing to see. And back then it would have been Stadio delle Alpi, but the flares, the chants, like the atmosphere and stuff, and that's in a stadium that was separated from the pitch with this massive track, but it's still transferred over. Okay, at Allianz, I still say J Stadium. Okay, so at J Stadium now, like, that is a great opportunity with an incredible facility to really, really lock things in and push forward. We had the record to boot, okay, that made our home stadium a fortress. Last season, we surrendered that. We've surrendered the atmosphere. they got to dial all that in, because if you dial all that in and then people start watching and then you're bringing in new fans and they're like, wow, look at this place. How many times have you seen Juve on a viral video about a crowd, about the crowd? It's been years since you've seen a Juve video from the stadium with like the actual chants, the lights going off, and it looking awesome. It's been years.
Yeah, and the last time I remember that the Curva said, well, let's leave it all aside and we'll come there to support Juve was the second game against Atletico, the first Ronaldo season. And how good was that game at home?
Yeah,
The fans, whether you like it or not, the Curva have massive effect on the team, on the pitch. Massive.
absolutely.
And you're telling me the first game is sold out? Roma and Milan sold out first 3 games.
Yeah,
That's what I want to see. And we have a smaller stadium. It's not that far fetched that
true.
we will be
We have
sold out.
48,000 capacity, roughly, like 48 to 49,000 capacity. In comparison to them, it's very, very low number. So it's, it's interesting it's just an interesting topic to think about when you think of Juve and the project, what they're trying to do, but lock things in. And that's been my big thing so far. While people are talking Champions League and all this, I'm saying domestically, figure yourselves out again domestically. We got news that some of the ultras are in the works of trying to get back, and that's big. Okay, I want to get to some questions here. Storm the Barn, you guys can fire away whenever you want. We're getting very, very close to prediction time. Okay, Jeremiah, do you feel Max, with his playing safe strategy, is holding back our players from really expressing themselves on the pitch? So it's
I can tackle that.
okay. You
So,
start.
yeah, and Max said before, I remember a quote, I don't remember the exact quote, but he said that you need to get the players up close to goal, but then you got to let their flair and their personal technique do the rest. Like you can get them to the door, but you need to let them open the door themselves. That's what he believes in. That's what was missing last season. We couldn't even get to the door, basically. So the playing safe strategy, I don't think it's good. I would like to see you take risks and try stuff. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. That's what every team does. And I do think we have a big problem in getting players to show out their true potential. Just look at Kulusevski and maybe even Bendencourt and some of the guys, Romero and the rest of the guys that left us and suddenly started to perform. Now there's a lot of different variables to that, different league, different manager, different team, tons. But I do think we have a problem in getting players to perform at their best in recent years. Even Vlahovic wasn't as good as we expected. On the counter, Chiesa was far better than he was at Fiorentina. But overall, players don't perform as good as I hope they would. And I don't think that's down to the players mainly. But it can change. It can still change.
I mean, when you factor this in, it's not always just a manager's strategy and whatnot, because there are a lot of moments you can see in match where our guys just freeze up. And like for me, the biggest difference between watching us and a lot of teams that are established and know their system, know their style, and play it with conviction is the tempo. It's literally the tempo. We play such a slow game. And Pirlo tried to change that. And you could see there was tempo. He wanted it to be quicker. We were getting balls into the area early. And what do you know? Quadrado ends out a season with like 16, 17 assists. Tempo is massive for us. And I don't know why that just kind of essentially shuts down and stops. And even Allegri himself, you can see on the sidelines last season for much of it, screaming and yelling because he wants that quickness, that tempo and whatnot. So it's almost something he's not even really behind in some of our play-in facets. So it's interesting. But I think, the level of quality of the players, the increase and whatnot, it changes things. Even when you saw Pogba, I don't care who the opponent was. I don't care that it was a friendly, anything like that. There was energy. There was excitement and whatnot. Quality players do that. Di Maria brings about an energy and excitement to him. It will get better. Chiesa will undoubtedly, but Max has to put it together. We have to get key guys in the right scenarios. Okay, that's my biggest thing. You can play it safe and still be effective and still play strong football while playing it safe. It's got to all come together. These guys have to learn their roles. We have to determine their roles, and it has to be a role that makes sense for those players. I don't want to see a guy that can torch defenses, spend the majority of his time playing defensively. So again, the team has to make up for that, and it has to all make sense. When you're getting guys in situations that are not their strong suit, then we have problems. Prime example, how many times through the preseason do we see Vlahovic trying to dribble through 3 or 4 players? That's not his game. That's not his game. I don't want to see that. Okay? Needs to be simple with Vlahovic. Pivot, target man, and then back to supporting midfielders, and then we build up and move forward. And then he needs to get in the prime scoring areas. I don't need to see him try and take on a full back line, just trying to save play and whatnot. So it's, again, putting it all together. And the players are going to have to be accountable as well in doing so. So it's going to be interesting to see. We have a question. Anytime you get to this, it's, brings up a lot and stirs the pot when up at the curva. What's the problem? There's a lot that adds to it, and it's very, very complicated. But really, where it ultimately stemmed from is tickets. And basically, it was the ultras were trying to take over control of the tickets, basically. Okay. And they were getting tickets, they were selling them, they were scalping them, and it got into this bit of a scandal. And then Agnelli was involved because essentially Juve was at the time in charge of distributing tickets to the ultra groups and whatnot. So it became this big thing. He essentially took that away. Slowly over time, it went into more and more and more. And they just eventually, like, what he was trying to do is just weed them out completely. That's what he was trying to do. So it is what it is. But there's a lot more to that and whatnot. And then the crime involved, and it's just, there's a lot there. It's much more that we can get into in, a few minutes on this show. But if you read up, there's a lot of documented reports and whatnot of the situation, and you can decide for yourself. If you see it as, Agnelli kind of punishing all for the actions of some, but that happens honestly with all the ultras across football, European football. You have those groups that are a little more involved than just the support and chanting at the game and whatnot. And obviously you have some that it gets into violence, whatever. The ultra world is very complex. That's all I could say. All right.
Yeah, but it was reported that some of the curva will be back this season.
They are working to try and get back. Everybody got very, very hyped up on that whatnot, but then the group came and said, relax, we're working at it, but it's going to take a lot for Juve to give in there, and then we will have to see. Prediction time, Juventini, okay? And we've changed things up this season, okay? So it's not going to be the same where we go over the list. What we're going to do now for predictions
There's a great question here. Is Pulisic the LeBron James of soccer? You want to get that?
Come on.
Yes.
Okay, listen. Predictions. I got to explain the predictions. Never mind Pulisic. Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't.
Everybody picks their final score. But in terms of we got to make 3 predictions to win, okay? Everybody predicts the final score, but the 2 other options to make up your 3 can be shots on target. It could be total shots and shots on target. It could be offsides. It could be first yellow card. You could pick any of those other categories, possession, goal scorers. But goal scorers, if you guess a 4-1 scoreline and we only score one, and one of those happens to be your player, you don't get the points, okay? So there you have it. So final score will be last. But Omar, what are your first two categories for your predictions? And then hit us with final score last as the scores start to roll in from the live. Go ahead, Omer. You're muted, my friend. There you go.
Al, I don't know if you can hear me, but
I can hear you.
Hearing you. I can't hear you. Wait.
Oh, man, we
figure it
lost
out.
Omer at a brutal time. Brutal time. I'll give you mine, Juventini, okay? Here we go. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to say, for my two predictions challenge, I'm going to say shots in this one, Juventus will end up with 10, 4 being on target, okay? My goal scorers, I'm going to take the chance and go with goal scorers because I think Juventus is going to score 2 goals. Vlahovic is going to get 1. Di Maria is going to get the other. That's my call. 2-1 victory. I don't see us getting the clean sheet, okay? However, is what it is. I don't really care about that. I just want the win. I was going to go 2-0, but this is probably better for all you Juventini because when I call clean sheets, we don't have the best of luck. So maybe me going that 2-1 sees us get that clean sheet, okay? But that's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be a tight affair, obviously, as Juve tries to get back in the rhythm of things and everything, okay? But I'm going to try my best. I'm going to try my best to help everybody and manifest that clean sheet, okay? But I think it's going to be a tight, cagey one, especially as Juve's fighting for chemistry. 2-1's my call. Omar, I don't know if you caught it, but I went 10 shots total, 4 on target. Di Maria and Vlahovic as my goal scorers, 2-1 final. Hit me with your 3 for the predictions.
I'm going with 3-1 Juve. Do I have to call out the goal scorers?
No, you can pick 2 of any other categories you want.
Okay, so I picked first yellow, Bonucci. And possession, 55-45 Juve.
Oh, there you go. I was going to do the possession one, but I found it too easy to get points. It's a little too easy to get points, but that's okay.
That's why you lose.
There we go. We've got some good ones in here. Let's see what Jeremiah's got. He's got attempts 13, 5 on target, goal scores Vlahovic with 2, and Zach 3-1 final. There you go. We got a lot of 2-0s. We got a 3-0 here with Vlahovic on a double. McKennie adding 1. We've got a 2-2 draw being called here by Vito. Okay. Raspadori with the doppietta and then Quadrado, Di Maria. Interesting. I think it's going to be a grind one way or another, Juventini, but ultimately, I don't care as long as we get the win, okay? It's all about getting the win. We have to kick off the season right, set the tone, okay? Again, though, while understanding it's going to be very, very difficult to do so with all these changes, but the energy needs to be there, okay? And I need to see the fight. This is the one thing I won't sacrifice this season. I will only lose my mind if I don't see that fight and determination and honestly, just progress. I need to see progress. I need to see this team growing and I need to see us put out strong efforts. Okay. I will not stand for this team playing soft and playing slow, looking unmotivated, whatnot. I need to see attitude. I need to see desire and whatnot to get after it. And I need to see us live up to the Fino alla Fina. Okay. I need to see that. And it starts today. We can't afford to fall behind. We need to be in there every step of the way. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Omar, your thoughts as we wrap up getting into this?
Well, a win is a must. All the big teams, except for Napoli, who still needs to play later today, all the big teams have won. We need to keep up with the pace, start off big. That's a major thing in every season. The first game is super important for morale. I want to see sacrifice. I want to see players like the first Pirlo game was crazy. That's the type of atmosphere I want to see. Players running all across the field, giving up fights everywhere, not being Manchester United.
That's a key, big key.
Yeah, that's the most important one of all. And besides that, just let's go get that win. I'm calling a Kostic either assist or goal, even from the bench. And that's it. Let's see the old Juve back. I feel like this is it. This is the season. Even if we don't win the Scudetto, I'm still expecting a very good season, very interesting. Lots of hot topics, lots of hot names, and just let's go already. I can't wait for the games.
Yeah, let's go. I can't wait either. We've got, again, I'm going to try my best. Everybody, fingers crossed, stay tuned. There might be the watch along coming on later today, okay? I will try my best. Last reminder to like the video if you haven't already, okay? Thank you for your support. Thanks for getting hyped up and pumped up for this one. It's all up to the players and Max to put it together. Management has done their part. It starts today at home against Sassuolo. Let's get in there. And I also picked Vlahovic and Di Maria as my goal scorers. Hopefully they assist each other because that would help my Fantacalcio team. Okay, I need it this weekend. Okay, so let's see what happens. I see some other comments there. If you got into our Fantacalcio League, fantastic. If you want to get in, you still can, even though it's a little bit late. It's okay. I mean, it's only the first weekend. SerieAFantasy.com, code G142VL6B. So get in there if you want and see. I'm sitting in an okay spot right now, but again, I hope Vlahovic and Di Maria can help me out big time. So do that at least for me, boys, okay? We'll talk to y'all later. We got the post-match podcast live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, and look out. I might just have that watch along later today for the match, okay? Till next time, Fino alla fine, Forza Juventus. Ciao tutti.